Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, Hurricane Ian makes landfall, but the problems are far from over. We'll have the latest on the powerful storm coming up. And many Kentucky natives have made their homes in Florida, and many more spend vacations there. We caught up with someone who's riding it out at Disney World.
Well, sunny skies stay in the forecast as we head into tomorrow, but then tropical remnants loom. That breakdown ahead as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Hurricane Ian flirted with Category 5 status as it made landfall on Florida's southwest coast this afternoon. It is now starting to weaken slightly, but officials warn the entire state will still feel the impact with torrential rain, catastrophic storm surge in some cases, and there's also the possibility of tornadoes. CBS's Jason Allen is in Tampa, which could get a foot of rain by the time the slow-moving storm is done.
Hurricane Ian has arrived on U.S. shores. A powerful, lumbering storm that's expected to batter millions in Florida. Hurricane hunters flying directly into Ian felt the storm's power, and satellite imagery shows lightning in the eyewall as Ian approached. Officials are warning of dangerous flooding and life-threatening storm surge.
Some places going to get 2 feet of rain. It's moving that slow.
Flooding began on these streets in Naples while Ian was still offshore, and downed power lines sparked this fire. Residents in the highest risk areas were warned. If they hadn't gotten out by this morning, it was too late.
I urge Floridians who have made the decision to shelter in place, to stay indoors, and stay off the roads.
But the curious came out to Tampa Bay earlier as water receded from the shoreline. It's been pushing water out of the bay. This is a swimming area usually, and right now you can walk on it.
It's like a one-in-a-lifetime thing.
These Michigan residents have never experienced a hurricane.
We see if we can get a good glimpse of anything while we're here.
But there is serious business ahead as Ian bears down. FEMA has hundreds of boots on the ground and has pre-positioned food and water supplies. Florida's governor is already forecasting a long recovery.
This is not just a 48-hour ordeal. This is going to be something that is going to be there for days and weeks and months.
Ian is expected to move across central Florida and exit Daytona Beach sometime tomorrow. Jason Allen, CBS News, Tampa.
The Red Cross has 2,500 responders ready to deploy once Ian passes to assist residents with food, shelter, and emergency supplies. Even before it made landfall, the wind and rain had already done some damage. Take a look at the flooding under this home in Key West. You can see how deep the water is, and watch as this person walks outside. In a minute, you'll see a blue Tesla, half of it underwater. Now, this was before the hurricane made landfall. Just as the damage preceded landfall, so did FEMA's response.
We've put together a really robust search and rescue capability that we have stationed right now in Miami that includes our urban search and rescue teams, members of the Department of Defense, Department of Interior, the U.S. Coast Guard and CBP, along with the state, because we know we're going to have to get into these communities and see who's there and make sure we can get them to safety.
Well, a lot of people consider Florida a great vacation destination, but Hurricane Ian forced many to shelter in place or even evacuate. As the winds intensify and heavy rain falls, Kentuckians in Florida are doing their best to stay safe. Lexington native Amanda Allen and her family are Disney World fanatics, so she says being in Orlando during this storm was just a little change of scenery.
I feel totally safe here at Disney anyway. I feel like the hotels and all the structures are equipped to handle hurricanes. So, I mean, I feel like I'm safer here than, anywhere else. So our plan is just to ride it out for, the next 2 days.
Walt Disney World and Universal Studios have both closed. Disney's parks will also be closed tomorrow, but the Disney Resort Hotel will remain open. Guests are urged to shelter in place in their rooms. Universal Studios has a similar plan in place.
Continuing to watch as Hurricane Ian continues to make its way through The state of Florida, it continues to weaken ever so slightly as we head through the rest of the evening. There's the current radar and satellite view as this eye wall continues to bear down on Fort Myers, Florida at this hour. We turn on the sustained winds and, well, we haven't had the sensors at Fort Myers or Naples for a while. Excuse me, but Sarasota still gusting, or actually sustained winds near 40 miles per hour. So hurricane force winds tropical storm force winds at the very least. There's the latest data on it, 140 miles per hour. It's weakened slightly, but it's also slowing down, which is going to be an issue as we head through the next couple of days, because a lot of water is going to fall as we head through the next few days. Around the region, well, we've had clouds ourselves move in today. UVA-wise at 52. Cloudy now in downtown Whitesburg as well. Temperatures region-wide, middle and upper 50s, so we're starting to cool off with those clouds in place. So in any case, go ahead and download that WYMT First Alert weather app, because not only will you get the latest on our forecast, which includes some chilly temperatures tonight, we'll also be watching the potential for what's left of Ian to bring us some potentially heavy rain as we head toward the weekend. That breakdown in a few minutes. Steve?
Evan, thank you. The body of a famed U.S. extreme skier who went missing this week after falling from the world's 8th highest mountain was recovered today and transported to Nepal's capital. 49-year-old Hillary Nelson was skiing down from the 26,775-foot summit of Mount Manaslu with her partner Jim Morrison on Monday when she fell off the mountain. Her body was flown by helicopter to a hospital in Kathmandu, where doctors plan to perform an autopsy. The U.S. Embassy in Moscow issued a security alert overnight, urging U.S. citizens to leave Russia immediately while there are still options for departing the country. The alert said Russia may refuse to acknowledge the U.S. citizenship of dual nationals, deny their access to U.S. consular assistance, and prevent their departure from Russia. The alert said the embassy has severe limitations on its ability to help U.S. citizens, and conditions, including transportation options, may be suddenly more limited. The U.S. Supreme Court returns to Washington, D.C. today after a 3-month break. Among the matters the justices will talk about, new cases to possibly consider, how to reopen the court with COVID-19 concerns, and the leaked Roe v. Wade draft opinion earlier this year. Before the court starts to look at the cases that have collected during the summer, they will have to address several decisions regarding the public's ability to see their deliberations. The High Court will begin hearing cases on October 3rd. The Georgia State Elections Board says it has asked the FBI to help in an ongoing criminal investigation into the voting system breach in Coffee County. The reason is because of similarities between what happened there and incidents in other states. The Georgia Elections Board also said it's investigating communications between local election officials in a second Georgia county and Sullivan Strickler. That's the same cybersecurity firm hired by attorneys working for former President Donald Trump to access voting systems in Coffee County in January 2021. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, as Eastern Kentuckians know all too well, natural disasters wreak havoc in communities when they sweep through, and the experts say the aftermath is prime time for scammers to strike. What you need to know to protect yourself from con artists looking to capitalize after tragedy.
But first, I've got the latest on the potential for heavy rain coming from what's left of Ian headed our way. That's ahead.